Hello, I'm Steve Anderson, speaking to you on behalf of Conservation International. First of all, I want to thank all of you who donated to our fundraiser last year. Pretty amazing endeavor. We raised $32,500, which, as you recall, helped us to get $8 million from an anonymous donor, and we preserved 7 million acres in the Mayan rainforest. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your generosity. It's made a huge difference, both for the indigenous people in that area and for everyone on the earth. And so thank you. This year we have an equally exciting project. We need to raise, once again, $30,000, and there's a tremendous multiplier effect here again. We are working with Conservation International. And what we're doing is we want to submit a proposal to the United Nations Green Climate Fund to get $20 million to protect all the mangrove forests in the country of Ecuador. And it's pretty amazing. So if you think about it, if you donate to this, your donation will help us get many, many times the power of your donation. And what we are going to do is we're going to hire a professional consulting company to create this grant request, and Conservation International is fairly confident that if we can get this $30,000 that they can get the $20 million. It's an incredible power of your donation toward preserving nature. So what's the project? So as I said, we want to restore and protect all of the mangroves in the country of Ecuador. This is 400,000 acres of mangroves in the country of Ecuador, which is sequestering 550 million tons of CO2. The effect on the environment is immense, but also what's exciting is what we've realized is the mangroves of the world actually sequester more carbon than rainforests, which we previously thought was sequestering most of the carbon on the planet. Now we know acre for acre, mangroves sequester more carbon than do rainforests or any other types of habitat. That's number one. Number two, this is going to protect the coastline of the country of Ecuador. So from hurricanes or any kind of storms, mangroves are critical to protecting that coastline. Thirdly, the mangroves, what we realize now, is a nursery for many species. So many species, including sharks and lobsters, come into the shallows and lay their young, and then they swim amongst the roots of the mangroves, protecting them from predation and allowing those species to sustain themselves. Lastly, I want to explain why we switched from the Nature Conservancy to now we're working with Conservation International. TNC is an organization that's amazing, and I love them. But most of their funding stays in the United States, which is not where most of the problems are in the world of the habitats that we have to preserve, really to save our own species. So CI, or Conservation International, is based worldwide, and they have 30 offices around the world, and none of them are in the continental United States. They're all located in these areas that our biologists have determined these are the most critical areas that we have to save if we are to save our own species, to preserve biodiversity and sequester carbon for the future. So why CI? So I'm still involved with the Nature Conservancy for local efforts, but for this effort, this fundraiser that we do every year, I wanted to get an organization that specialized in international biodiversity preservation. And I found Conservation International a couple of years ago, and I have been blown away by their commitment to this and their effectiveness. So our Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Sanjan, is an incredibly knowledgeable and inspiring man who's really affected me deeply and made me passionate about joining this organization. And it's my feeling that if we give these dollars to CI, they are going to be put to the best use of any organization we could put our money behind on the planet. So I hope you can understand why I feel like Conservation International is an organization that I can get behind, and I hope you can get behind as well. And you can have confidence that your dollar is going to be well spent in order to preserve the very things that we feel, and I hope you feel, are important for the preservation of all species, but in particular human beings. So let me read a quote from one of our board members, Harrison Ford of Star Wars fame, that I think really speaks to this more eloquently than I could myself. As long as the world's great forests are slashed and burned, our climate goals will remain out of reach, and will be out of time if we don't stop the destruction of our natural world. Never forget who you are fighting for. It's our own country, our own community, our own families. This is one core truth. If we are to survive on this planet, the only home any of us will ever know for our climate, for our security, for our future, we need nature now more than ever. So many times in life, we see what's going on in the world, we read the headlines, and we wonder, all these problems are happening, but what can I, one person, do about this? I'm telling you that you can make a difference. We have a tremendous opportunity here where your donation can multiply many times over to make a real difference, not just for the people of Ecuador, but for all human beings, all animals. The lives that you save may be those of your own children and their children. Thank you for your help.